Ever since the big, shocking, absolutely insane reveal about Aizen's betrayal at the end of the Soul Society arc, the plot twist that shattered my mind, we've known that he's the new main villain in the series, and the story has slowly been building up what that means ever since. But now these chapters have given us a better idea of what the new big bad is up to, and it really does not sound good. Head Captain Yamamoto gets in touch with some of the heroes that we have in the living world right now, after they kind of hilariously transformed part of Orihime's house into the ultimate in-home entertainment viewing experience. And Orihime gets to hear firsthand about what the Soul Society has learned about their former captain's plans. As it turns out, Aizen's been researching how to create a key that can access the domain of the Soul King. Yes, the Soul King. It turns out that the Soul Society has a royal family, and yes, a king, a full-blown monarch. Even if the king actually stays in a completely separate realm, dimension, it sounds like. But Aizen wants in, and he wants to apparently assassinate the Soul King. But the only way to create one of these keys is to sacrifice 100,000 souls. And the place that seems to be the intended target is the home of most of our main characters. Karakura Town is a focus point for spiritual energy, which makes a lot of sense given everything that's been happening there. These kinds of places apparently change over time, but spirits are drawn to them. I like that this kind of helps explain why so much hollow activity has only happened locally that we've seen, and might even explain why so many people are becoming spiritually aware or have developed abilities. And naturally, it's a good place for Kubo to set the stakes at, because it not only is a home to the characters, but feels like a home to us, the readers, as well. People we know are at risk. Don Kanonji is at risk. That is, if he doesn't defeat Aizen himself, which is totally possible. We also learn that we have some time, as it takes 4 months for the Hogyaku to fully awaken, so the battle will come in winter. That gives these characters some solid time to train before then. But guys, here's my thing with Aizen's supposed plan to make a key and kill the Soul King. It seems a little too simple, and if there's one thing we've learned about Aizen, he doesn't do simple. The man's whole plan during the Soul Society arc was very thought out, and none of the characters saw it coming, because he's just that good of a strategist and mastermind. So we need to take note that everything we're hearing about Aizen's objective is just speculation and conjecture by other characters. Aizen is not telling us any of this himself, so I'm going to take everything Yamamoto says with a huge grain of salt. I'm not going to get duped by Aizen again. Our heroes assume they know his plan, but I highly doubt that they have it all figured out this early. Kubo does a great job of using tension to build fear in all of these characters. You get the sense that even Yamamoto is terrified, and we've had a glimpse of how powerful the old man is, so if he's uneasy about all of this, then we should absolutely be afraid for our characters too. We then get the return of Momo, who I am still shocked is alive, and after getting backstabbed through the front stabbed by Aizen. That really seemed like a death at the time to me, but here we are, and as I predicted, she is not doing well. As horrible as it is, I love that we see this kind of reaction from her. At one moment, she seems like she's doing a lot better, but then in the next, she shifts into something that's just very sad, believing that Aizen can't be the one responsible, that he can be redeemed. She's just mentally and emotionally shattered, clearly. Even after what happened, she's still under Aizen's manipulation, still falling for the fake image that he put on for her all of that time. He's buried himself so deeply into her psyche, made her really believe in his illusion, and she hasn't escaped that lie. It's so sad to see, but it needs to be shown. What happened to her was horrific, and it's important to show the lasting damage that Aizen left in his wake. And with how close of friends Hitsugaya is with Momo, and having been the one to find her after Aizen's betrayal, and having heard firsthand Aizen gleefully talk about using her, I need Hitsugaya to be able to get a few hits in on Aizen. It's what he deserves. It's very, very personal for him. Something else has Aizen's attention too, besides his Hogyaku, his Arankars, and his apparent plan to go after the Soul King, and that's his interest in Orihime. So let's talk about her, because we really should. Orihime surprised me in these pages. To be blunt, it's clear in these chapters that Orihime is becoming one of the most mysterious and intriguing characters in this arc, and is being set up to have a lot of importance in this part of the story. I've talked before about how she kind of faded into the background for a bit as just the healer of the group, but then I was completely taken off guard when Ukiura was interested in her power, and surmised that it actually has something to do with manipulating time. His interest in that really sparked my own at the time. He'd come on a mission to examine Ichigo's power, but by the end of his visit, Ukiura was much more curious about Orihime than he was about Ichigo, and now Aizen seems to share that sentiment too, since he saw everything that Ukiura did. That moment of interest was isolated, but in these chapters we're getting more and more from Orihime that's making me sit here and ponder. She was able to slip through Hachi's barrier without issue, and then Urahara tells her that she won't be fighting the Arankars with the rest of them. He claims it was because one of her little fairy hair clip guys was destroyed fighting Yami, and that they were already going to have more experienced healers there on the battlefield. But this is Urahara saying this. And as you all should know by now, I do not trust this shady man. Just from some of the ways he's drawn, it feels like he knows more about Orihime than what he's saying, and doesn't want her to be involved. This guy seems to know everything about everything. He knows something we don't, clearly. And it's not just about Orihime not being able to keep up with the rest of the group. She's shown that she can be beneficial in a fight. She can protect, she can heal. Why not have an extra healer on the battlefield? Urahara's up to something, and Orihime is definitely more important than anyone knows besides him and Aizen. I also respect Chad for sticking up for her, by the way, when Urahara rejects her, because he's right that saving Rukia was a group effort, and they may have not been able to succeed without Orihime, even if she didn't get the most spotlight during that arc. Chad's just a good egg for speaking out, because it's weird to tell her she won't be involved, and I'm glad someone is actually calling Urahara out. Despite Orihime seeming to be sidelined from the upcoming battle, she becomes even more of a primary focus of these chapters. Rukia gives her some advice, she's taken by Hiyori and brought to Hachi, the big visored guy with the pink mustache that created protective barriers when they were intervening with Ichigo's holification. Hachi noticed how she passed through his barrier earlier and apparently has similar abilities with his own shields, which I should have made that connection, I feel like, since we don't see all that many barriers. I'm very curious about what the connection is, but I like that Orihime is meeting someone like her, who seems to focus much more on protection and defense rather than attack. He even helps her restore some of her offensive power, so now what's Urahara's excuse? Orihime's resolve even after all of this, after essentially being told that she should stay out of it, is something that I really admire about her character. Like Ichigo, she cares so much about protecting her people, and she was the one that heard firsthand what might happen to her hometown and to everyone living there. She isn't gonna stay out of it just because she's told to, but it seems like she's being pushed to the very center of focus. Whatever Aizen's interest is in her, it has something to do with her powers to apparently manipulate time. And that's a power that would come in handy for just about any villain in any story, so I'm sure it will be useful to whatever Aizen is planning. If I haven't made it clear enough yet, I love that Orihime is getting so much focus again. I really like her character and I'm glad she's being treated with the focus that she was given in early chapters. The Oken may be the literal key that we've learned about, but Orihime seems primed to be the key to all of this, to whatever Aizen is planning, to whatever Urahara is thinking, and to the upcoming battle that she's not supposed to even be a part of. I can't wait to see where she goes from here, and how the rest of our characters handle what's to come. It's probably going to be a very difficult winter. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If I sound a little off, it's because I've been sick like the past week, so my voice is a little not 100% right now, but I hope you all had a great holiday, and I hope you have a fantastic New Year's. I have some fun plans for the channel in 2024, so thank you all for sticking with me, and I can't wait to share more with you. Take care.